Well, just given what one sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. So that's alarming. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush nominated John Tower, senator from Texas, for Secretary of Defense. Now, Tower was a very considerable person, a real defense intellectual, someone who deeply understood defense, unlike the current nominee. And it emerged that Tower had a drinking problem. And when he was drinking too much, he would make himself a nuisance or worse to the women around him. And for that reason, his nomination collapsed in 1989. You don't want to think that our moral standards have declined so much that you could say, let's take all the drinking, all the sex pesting, subtract any knowledge of defense, subtract any leadership, and there's your next Secretary of Defense for the 21st century.
Before we go to break, a little bit earlier in this block, there was a comment made about Fox News in our coverage about Pete Hegseth and the growing number of allegations about his behavior over the years and possible addiction to alcohol or issues with alcohol. The comment was a little too flippant for this moment that we're in. We just want to make that comment as well. We want to make that clear. We have differences in coverage with Fox News, and that's a good debate that we should have often. But right now, I just want to say there's a lot of good people that work at Fox News who care about Pete Hegseth, and we'll want to leave it at that.
You know what? People are upset with some of our guests, some of our friends. Maybe we snuck up on them too fast. Maybe we should have given them more of a warning. Whatever, it's fine. But guess what? The main complaint was that we called Donald Trump's rhetoric fascist during the campaign. And then we went down to have an off-the-record comment with him. Guess who else does that?
Let me see. From the New York Times,
the New York
Washington
Times,
Post, the Wall Street. You know what? I even think folks from the Atlantic.
I think
they might
probably
be doing that.
If they have a chance to talk on the background with the incoming president and president-elect, they would do it. In fact, as somebody wrote during this outrageously stupid, immature series of articles that lied time and time again about us, reporter said, well, I'd be fired.
I just want to be as clear as I possibly can. We ain't kissing no Trump MAGA ass.
Come on now.
We ain't kissing no ring. We ain't bowing down to nobody. I told y'all what happened when he had a meeting with the TV anchors and I was invited to it. And they invited me to 3 of them. I made 2 of them. Biden people never invited me to 1. Just saying. So Trump walks in. You know, normally when the president, I don't call him the president, the president walks in, everybody stands up, they move to him. Everybody moved to him. I like that Simpsons meme. I fell backwards. So I was standing there and I was sitting there going, I was like, well, I ain't gonna call his ass Mr. President because he ain't got no respect for the office, so I can't call him President Trump. Not gonna happen. Then I was like, I can't call his ass Mr. Trump. So I'm like, damn, what I'm going to say when he... So he's shaking everybody's hand, and he get to me and stick his hand out. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. I went, hi.
Damn.
That was it.
You didn't even touch it.
That was it. I wasn't about to sit here and call him by no title because he didn't have any respect for the office. So I'm not going to call you by the title of the office. I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, unlike Joe and Mika and Morning Joe, we ain't kissing no Trump ass. I ain't going to Mar-a-Lago. We ain't sitting down. He gonna be talking to Kristen Welker. We already know how that interview is gonna go. He gonna run over her like a freight train.
No question.
But just as Rebecca said, if y'all want honest conversation about the truth, about what these yahoos are gonna do 2 blocks from us, I'm telling you right now, when they come in here with their carnage, somebody has to speak truth about what they are doing, and that's gonna be us. And we ain't gonna apologize for it, and we ain't gonna bow down to nobody, we ain't kissing nobody, but it's not gonna happen because you have to call out evil when you confront evil. That sign back there, what is it? It's by Ida B. Wells Barnett. It's right there. And this is her famous quote where she said,
I want to play this from Joe Scarborough today, because this is the mentality that you're going to hear, I think, from a lot of members who are very reliant on the spending, the lobbyists, the pharmaceutical companies, the people who give them a lot of money for their campaigns. Watch this.
The United States government has already spent $80 of its budget on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, vets, defense, and interest on the debt. This is a scam unless they're going to slash Social Security and Medicare and and Veterans Affairs. They're never going to get to $2 trillion.
Can't be done. Can't be done, Senator. What do you say?
Oh, poor Joe Scarborough. I remember when he was a conservative. You know, when he was a conservative Republican, he actually voted against expanding Medicare into Medicare Part D, this extra part to make Medicare bigger because he thought it might bankrupt the country. Yep. So there was a time when he actually was a thoughtful person, but no longer. Now, there is a sliver of a truth in the sense that, yes, entitlements are a lot of the spending, but to say entitlements are a lot of the spending, therefore we're not going to look at waste is the excuse we hear all the time. Oh, we're not going to look at this spending because if you get rid of all waste, it won't balance the budget. Well, why don't we start by getting rid of the $750,000 that was spent feeding cocaine to Japanese quail to see if they were more sexually promiscuous on cocaine? Maybe Joe would agree with getting at least that, get rid of that.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and the idea that these programs can't have a little bit of analysis, you know, where you find some waste in them. If every agency had the responsibility to say, okay, you know, show us what you have. Show us what you can get rid of that isn't going to, you know, cut to the bone and people will still get the benefits that were promised to them. Show us where there's fraud and find some ways to save some money.
Would have been in yesterday morning.
Yeah, I was here up early on Sunday morning with NBC's coverage. Savannah and I led the coverage on Sunday in the immediate aftermath, talking to eyewitnesses, talking to officials about what happened. Obviously suited up and ready to go for yesterday morning on a big morning, and we're told that something else was going to be broadcast. So we are here today going through a lot, catching up a little bit, but we want to be here for our audience, and we know you trust us, and we have ultimate respect for you guys. So we are here today. I wish we'd been here yesterday.
We all wish we would have been here yesterday. We still would like to figure out exactly why there wasn't that one news feed.
And I think the reason why is this show began and continues 17 years later on being the place where you can go to have the hard conversations in a civil way. And so it seemed like now more than ever is a time that we would like to be on. And I think our viewers agree with that. So we continue. We are 5 minutes past the top of the hour.
No, and let me just say, next time we're told there's going to be a news feed replacing us, we will be in our chairs.
We'll be sitting here.
Yeah, and the news feed will be us, or they can get somebody else to host the show.